Imagine a world where you don't own a car, or a house, or even your own clothes. This might sound like science fiction, but it's a future that some people believe is just around the corner. The World Economic Forum has predicted that by 2030, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. This provocative statement has sparked intense debate about the future of ownership and what it means to live in a world where we possess very little. Is this a utopian vision of a more sustainable and equitable future, or a dystopian nightmare where our choices and freedoms are limited? This video will explore the potential benefits and drawbacks of a world without ownership, as envisioned by the WEF. We'll examine the arguments for and against this radical shift in societal norms and consider its implications for our everyday lives. By unpacking the complexities of this bold vision, we can better understand the potential challenges and opportunities that lie ahead as we navigate the evolving relationship between humans and possessions. The idea of owning nothing can be interpreted in different ways. It doesn't necessarily mean that we'll live in a world devoid of personal belongings. Instead, it suggests a shift from traditional ownership models to systems based on access and sharing. Imagine subscribing to a service that provides you with everything you need, from transportation and accommodation to clothing and entertainment. You use what you need, when you need it, and then return it to be used by someone else. In this scenario, you wouldn't own a car, but you'd have access to one whenever you needed to get around. You wouldn't own a wardrobe full of clothes, but you'd have a subscription service that delivers outfits tailored to your needs and preferences. This model is often compared to the way we consume digital content today. We subscribe to streaming services for music and movies instead of owning physical copies. The WEF envisions a similar shift happening with physical goods and services. Proponents of this access over ownership model argue that it could lead to a more sustainable and equitable future. They envision a world with less waste and consumption, where resources are shared more efficiently, and everyone has access to the essentials they need to thrive. Imagine a world without the need for landfills overflowing with discarded goods, or the environmental damage caused by manufacturing and transporting products that people rarely use. This model could also reduce the financial burden of ownership, particularly for those who struggle to afford basic necessities. In a world where housing, transportation, and other essential services are provided through subscription models, individuals could potentially free up their income for other pursuits, such as education, travel, or starting their own businesses. This could lead to a more dynamic and entrepreneurial society, where people are less tied down by material possessions and more free to pursue their passions. Beyond the economic and environmental benefits, advocates of a world with less ownership suggest that it could lead to a happier and more fulfilling life. They argue that our obsession with material possessions can be a source of stress, anxiety, and unhappiness. We constantly strive to acquire the latest gadgets, the biggest houses, and the most fashionable clothes, often at the expense of our well-being and relationships. In a world where we own less, we might be less burdened by the pressures of consumerism and more focused on experiences, relationships, and personal growth. Imagine the freedom of being able to travel light, knowing that you have everything you need wherever you go. Imagine the peace of mind that comes from not having to worry about maintaining, repairing, or insuring a house full of possessions. Sharing is carrying a sustainable future. The environmental implications of a world without ownership are significant. Our current model of production and consumption is simply not sustainable in the long term. We are depleting the planet's resources at an alarming rate and contributing to climate change through our reliance on fossil fuels and wasteful practices. A shift towards a sharing economy could help to mitigate these problems by reducing demand for new products and promoting the reuse and recycling of existing goods. Imagine a world where products are designed to be durable, repairable, and easily disassembled for recycling. Imagine a world where transportation systems are electric, shared, and optimized for efficiency. By embracing circular economy principles, we can create a future where economic growth is decoupled from resource depletion and environmental degradation. But what about my car? The practicalities of nothing. While the vision of a world without ownership might sound appealing in theory, there are many practical considerations to address. One of the biggest challenges is how this model would work in practice for essential goods and services. For example, how would access to healthcare, education, and transportation be managed? Would everyone have equal access to these essential services, regardless of their income or social status? Another challenge is the potential for inequality and exclusion. In a world where access to goods and services is primarily determined by subscription models, there is a risk that those who cannot afford to pay will be left behind. This could exacerbate existing social divisions and create a two-tiered society where the wealthy have access to everything while the poor are left with nothing. The digital divide: access for everyone? The success of a world without ownership relies heavily on technology. Access to high-speed internet and digital devices would be essential for participating in this new economy. However, the digital divide remains a significant challenge in many parts of the world, with millions of people lacking access to reliable and affordable internet. Without addressing this digital inequality, a world without ownership could further marginalize already disadvantaged communities. Moreover, the reliance on technology raises concerns about data privacy and security. In a world where our every move is tracked and monitored, who controls our data, and how is it being used? These are important questions that need to be addressed to ensure that a world without ownership does not come at the cost of our privacy and autonomy. The control factor: who decides what we get? One of the biggest concerns about a world without ownership is the potential for loss of control. If we no longer own our possessions, who decides what we have access to? Will it be up to governments, corporations, or algorithms? This raises concerns about censorship, manipulation, and the potential for our choices to be limited by external forces. Imagine a scenario where your access to certain goods or services is restricted based on your social credit score, your online behavior, or your political views. This might sound like science fiction, but it's a reality that is already being implemented in some parts of the world. In a world without ownership, it's crucial to establish safeguards that protect individual freedoms and prevent the abuse of power. Loss of privacy: every move tracked? Another concern is the potential for loss of privacy. In a world where everything is connected and data is constantly being collected, it's easy to imagine a scenario where our every move is tracked and monitored. This could have chilling effects on our freedom of expression and our ability to live our lives without fear of surveillance. Imagine a world where your access to certain goods or services is denied based on your online activity, your social media posts, or your physical location. This might sound far-fetched, but it's a future that is becoming increasingly plausible as technology advances and data collection becomes more pervasive. Protecting our privacy and ensuring that our personal information is used responsibly is essential for building a future where we can thrive without ownership. Inequality 2.0: a world for the haves and have-nots. While proponents of a world without ownership often highlight its potential to create a more equitable society, there are also concerns that it could exacerbate existing inequalities. In a world where access is everything, those with the most resources will be best positioned to secure access to the best goods and services. This could create a two-tiered society where the wealthy elite enjoy a life of abundance, while the rest of us struggle to make ends meet. Addressing these potential inequalities and ensuring that everyone has access to the essentials they need to live a dignified life is crucial for creating a truly just and equitable world without ownership. The future of ownership: a conversation starter. The idea of owning nothing and being happy is a complex and multifaceted issue with no easy answers. While it presents some intriguing possibilities for a more sustainable and equitable future, it also raises significant concerns about control, privacy, and inequality. As we navigate the evolving relationship between humans and possessions, it's crucial to engage in thoughtful and nuanced conversations about the future we want to create. What role do we want material possessions to play in our lives? How can we balance individual freedom with collective responsibility? These are just some of the questions we need to grapple with as we explore the potential benefits and drawbacks of a world without ownership. The future is not predetermined. It's up to us to shape it in a way that benefits all of humanity. If you found this exploration of the future of ownership thought-provoking, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Express Econ Geofinance Insights for more insightful analyses of the world around us. Let's continue the conversation.